Yeah, I think
I
another
have a
one of the
question.
things
How
that we
many
can
of
bring
you
up
have
with the price
lots?
improvements, because like Matt was saying there, there's no way we can talk for an hour on how to get price reductions, is how to price a home. So maybe how are we doing CMAs and how are we pricing a home so that when we get it on the market, we're getting action right away. So it's not sitting 45 days, because I'm going to be honest, that's something that's challenging for me. How do you forecast how far down you need to be to actually get the home sold? At least in our market here, you got to be beating other homes by quite a bit.
What's
Is
quite a
has the
bit?
market there in Florida really slowed down like dramatically, Cam?
Yeah, we're about 25% price down from the peak in 2022. We're almost to the point now that if you bought a home post like mid 2022, you're just happy to walk away without paying to close. Like we're there now. It's good.
Who
It's tough, but it's good for buyers. And buyer activity has picked way up in the last 2 or 3 months. People are getting ready to start going again. So that's exciting.
Is the inventory
Skyrocketing.
it's gone up quite a bit
Yeah, it's
from
like
where it was?
tripled or even quadrupled, because you got to remember that we had so many people that moved here during COVID, had to move back. They had empty homes. They all tried to rent them at first. So our rental inventory has like exploded down here. The rentals down here are crazy. But because they couldn't, all the rentals popped up, prices of rentals went down. Now people are like, well, we can't rent it. Now let's sell it. So the inventory went up. So we're just going through that cycle.
so
Wow. So rental prices are dropping. Like,
Rental prices are definitely dropping, especially for our money makers down here are short term. I mean, during our season, man, you can have a normal 3 bedroom, 2 bath house, let's say a 450, $500,000 house. It'll generate traditionally, 15, $18,000 a month during season. That's just not happening anymore. You're getting like, $3,500 a month. So, and that's during season. Now, out of season, just trying to get people in it. It's the goal, right? So exactly, rental prices have dropped for short term, which means more people have tried to do long term, which then has dropped those prices. So overall, it's good for the buyers or for the renters. But we've seen a correction very quickly down here.
wow, interesting.
So, so Cam, are you now having conversations also about the potential of a short sale, I'm guessing, right? With some instances?
So I've been on a couple listing appointments recently on the properties that we've taken, and those are the first questions I brought up, is like, where are you exactly in terms of your numbers? I did the back end and I went on our CMAs. We're making sure that we're looking up stuff on like PropStream to see where they are approximately, but then getting out and talking to them. I haven't had one person yet that I haven't been able to get out without bringing money to the table. So everyone hasn't, I haven't had one short, so I haven't had anyone come to money with closing. I don't think we're going to see that just yet. I'm praying. Let's just
But
hoping.
don't you think, Cam, if prices have dropped 25% already, and we're really just getting started, I would say, you're talking to the short sale king of San Diego right here.
Right
And
there. Yes.
I
So
I never thought, maybe we'll see those here too. I mean, but it sounds like if you're already down 25% right
Well,
now,
yeah. Yeah.
I feel like we're
you're
about
gonna have a
halfway
short
right now.
sale
So my gut
situation.
feeling, based on seeing 2009, 2010, is just based on that and based on how it felt, is like we are halfway right now. The prices have come down, but everyone's still acting like it's good. It's when it really gets bad and everyone starts panicking and wires starts getting ripped out of walls and people start stealing air conditioners, that we know that it's rough now, and that's when people started really struggling. Not that's a good thing, and I'm not trying to make light of that, but that's just how I have seen it in the past. So I think we still have a big drop to go. What I will say for you guys, and I know some of you guys are still in super hot markets, so keep rolling, is my teams that are in Ohio and Georgia and a few other markets like Oklahoma City, they've been rolling to 2022, 2023. They were doing great. Now, in the last couple months, they have slowed down a lot. So our market down here has picked up a little bit, but their markets are slowing down because they haven't seen that price drop. And they're kind of feeling that pinch, I think, and they're going to start seeing what we have went through in the last like 12, 14 months, which is just a slow decrease of prices over that time. But over 14 months, it's, added up to, I think it's about 25% across the board.
Wow. And you think that's the same in like over where Mitch is, Cocoa Beach, that area?
Yeah, so Mitch
Space
is on the
Coast.
Space Coast there. The cool thing about the Space Coast, obviously, is they have less price. The prices are overall generally a little bit lower. So
Yeah.
I think they've probably lost a little bit less, right? Everything scales on percentages, but I do think they're still seeing it. And I think, you know, I think across the board, really, we are seeing it. It hit hard here in our area because we were specifically the highest price increase across the whole country was the county that I worked in, which was awesome. Obviously, it was a great to watch it, great to experience it. But also, what goes up comes down, and that's exactly what's happening. You know, we were one of the first places that really rocketed and took off, and saw prices go from typically like 350 to 450 to 550 to 650, and now they're back down to like 520, 500, or you know, somewhere around there, and it's still continuing that way. With that said, though, I think that's the big thing to talk about today, or I was hoping to kind of talk about today, is how are we pricing our homes? And if your market's hot, talk about that. I mean, that'd be great to know as well. What are you doing, Matt? Do you want to go for it? Because I know you're
Well,
doing a
no.
lot of
So
stuff.
Cameron, I have a great idea. So let's do a role play, Cameron. I listed my house with you a month ago,
Mhm.
and you recommended that we list the house at 800,000,
Okay.
which was lower than I wanted to list it at, by the way. But I took your advice because, you know, you're the expert. And now we've been on the market 37 days, and you're reaching out to me to say, and it's been quiet, and I'm getting a little pissed off because, you know, I went with you. You're supposed to be the guy.
I'm the
You
best.
know, you've gone viral on TikTok and all this business.
Yep. No, and it's true. Yeah, exactly. And that's
Yeah.
what we sell you guys. This is
Right.
this
Yeah,
is the
you
market.
came into my
when-
house.
Exactly.
You know, I'm getting divorced now, and I'm pissed off. And
Yep.
now
yep.
you're calling me. Now you're calling me, and you're saying 800. You know, I'm saying, you know, so let's do a little role play on
Okay.
you reaching out to me, that telling me we got to adjust the price.
I love this. This is the biggest, most valuable thing we can do. So I love doing this. With that said, I'm going to preface a little bit, because the key to this call, you guys.
Do we need to is anyone recording this, by the way? Because we're about to see some gold. Dre, are we recording? We good?
It's recording.
Cool.
Cool.
So the key to this, you guys, and this is like Matt was saying, we would have suggested a lower price. We would have suggested a price that we believe could have sold it quickly, because that's obviously what we should be doing.
I wanted to list it at 850 or 875, because I had some other agents that were telling me that we might be able to bid it up to 900.
I love that, right? And that's it. So with
The
that said,
story just, the plot thickens.
yeah.
I had
We're
this
getting
guy.
better and
I
better
had
here.
this guy Battiata in here, and he was telling me.
And this is it, you guys. This is it. So great. So this is great. So let's talk real quick about how to preface this, because you need to make sure that when you are going on your listing appointments, that you are prefacing this in the right way, so that when you make this call, because this is the call everyone's having to make right now, you aren't coming across as someone that they decide that they don't want to work with you any longer. They're going to call Matt instead, because he said he can get 900. So you have to preface this correctly, and that's done up front from the initial listing presentation. You need to be setting the standards and setting the expectations, which is obviously why we're doing this call today, right? So we have the pricing that should be giving them the number that it's really going to sell at, not the fantasy land number. I think that's one of Dave's favorite quotes there, right? Listed in fantasy land. So Matt, with that said, we did it at 800. I had the pricing analysis that I gave you. We reviewed it back and forth, line by line. You understood the numbers, you understood the percentages, and at the end, I actually have you sign it. I don't have a CMA here in front of me, but I do. I have you sign the damn thing, just because, you know what? When we go back and review this and you say, I didn't say that, I said, hey, you know what? You're right, you probably didn't, but we just reviewed it here, and this is when you signed it. So on my CMA, I have a line, because back in the day, we have everyone sign it. So you wanted to list at 850. We came down and we said, okay, let's split the difference, and I'm going to work with you, because I want to take your beautiful $850,000 listing. This is going to be a beautiful commission check when I sell it. I want to market this neighborhood as well. So I took it high, right? The first thing I would do is I would make sure that I do not leave it 37 days. If you put it on the market and it's 14 days, 10 days, and it's not going anywhere, you need to be reaching out to that seller, and you need to be saying, hey, Matt, look, listen, we've been getting great views on it. Zillow, we got 4,000 views on Zillow. Realtor.com, we got great views. EXP Luxury, here, look at the dashboard. We got it on all the hot sites. We're doing everything we can for you, but we're getting no action. You know, when we spoke here 2 weeks ago, my recommendation was a little bit lower. I'd like to do a slight price reduction just to get it bumped up a little bit more. And this is like week 1, 7 to 10 days. And this is going to get us so that we're not having to go from 825 to 799, or really where it needs to sell at is probably 775. But we're going to do it from 825 to 815 that first week. Okay. We're going to get bumped back up. Now, to do that call, ring, ring. Hey, Matt.
Hi, hello.
Hey, Matt, it's Cam, your agent. I was just checking in on you. I sent you an email here, and I wanted to see if you had a chance to look at it. It just had some overall statistics in it, seeing the views that we're getting. I wanted to show you some of the marketing that we're doing. Did you have a chance to view it? Yeah, great, great, great. Perfect. Okay. Well, hey, the reason for my call actually was, we haven't got any showings on it. We're getting pretty good viewership, but when I typically see this and we're just getting absolutely no action, I want to move us a little bit closer to that price that I recommended before. And I know you want to start a little bit high, and as we discussed, I'm willing to do that. I want to market it for you, but I want to get it a little bit closer to that price recommendation. What do you think of maybe splitting the difference? So you were at 825. I recommended 800. How about we do like 815?
Well, I mean, do you really think that's going to make? I mean, we've had some people looking at the house. I mean, there's been people. I don't understand why nobody's. Why can't they make a low offer if they want to? If they're not willing to pay what we're asking, whatever at 825, why don't they make an offer? I mean, I feel like if we drop the price, we're just giving away money.
Yeah, no, and I definitely don't want to give away any money. And you're right. Why aren't people making offers? Well,
Why don't they make an
that,
offer?
What's that?
Why don't they make an offer if it's just about the price?
Exactly, because you're negotiable, right? That's why we listed a little bit high.
Yeah.
Well, right now, just so you know, in our market, Matt, and I know this, I know we're in a declining market. Prices are coming down here in Southwest Florida a little bit, but believe it or not, we're still at 97.5% list price to sales price. People aren't really negotiating. What they're doing though is they're dropping the price over time. And sooner or later, when they finally get to that price that's somewhat close to where a buyer wants to offer, then they're making that offer. And I know that might be frustrating to us because we would probably accept something, right? 785, 795. But you're trying to get that negotiating power. Like I said, Matt, what I think we should do is get it dropped down a little bit this week, get some more action in it. And if it doesn't sell, then obviously, or we don't get any more action, no one in it actually looking at it with this price reduction, then I think we should revisit it here in about a week. What do you think?
Well, I want to sell it. I can't, so yeah, I would do that. If
All right,
you're saying to drop it, I would do that.
I recommend 815, and I'm going to send it over to you right now, and I'll get on it. And then it also gives me the ability to blast it out to everyone. So I'm going to send it to all of the realtors here in the area that we have a price improvement. And again, I'm just doing everything I can for you, Matt. I know I want to sell this for 850 if I could for you, but we're in a challenging market. So I'm going to get that sent over to you, and I'll get to work right away.
Sounds good.
All right. So real quick. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I was just going to say
during that initial talk where you were kind of telling me, you want more, is you said we're getting good viewership on it, right? And that was a point where I would have stopped. I was just trying to get to the price improvement part, but I would have stopped and said, Matt, that's because we're doing great marketing. That's what you hired us for, is we're getting a lot of views on it, but we're not getting anyone in the door. And that's what we need to do to sell this house. We got to get eyes on it. And you're going to go, yep, you're right. To do that, we need to do a price improvement. And to me, you guys, the key is getting on it quickly, is that you don't let it sit 30 days, 45 days, because then you need to really do, especially in our market, if you wait 45 days and you price it high, you need to do a $30,000 or a $45,000 price reduction. And that hurts. 15,000 at a time every week. It keeps you on top. It keeps your listing up there, and it keeps you working with the client.
That's a really good point, actually, I think, is doing, those incremental adjustments. The thing is, what I like to use, by the way, you mentioned that you have had sellers sign a CMA at the listing appointment, that's awesome. I've never even thought of doing that. But what I do think is interesting, a good point that I like to use is, you always got to use data, right? So when I do a price, before I ever have a conversation about a price reduction, I always email over a current CMA. I go back the last 90 days, last 30 days, whatever, and say, look, this is what's happening right around your house. Look at the average market times, right? Mm-hmm. And where are we? We've been on the market 30 days at this point and we haven't sold. Look at all these homes that have sold below your price, right? And you know, and then it's like, it's just called a call to reality, right? Like, you know, this isn't the stock market. It's not like we just we decide to sell a stock and there's automatically a buyer. There's not, right? So we need to find a buyer, and that's just the reality of the situation. And the reality right now is no one's buying the house. And you have to just have, sorry, it's loud here, but you just have to have a very real conversation with your seller and just say, look, there's, you know, it's called, the market is speaking to us and is telling us no one's willing to buy your house for X amount. And we have to adjust the price. It's, you know, and I think if you come to people, I don't care who your seller is, if they are, you know, they could be a big mogul or, you know, wealthy individual or whatever. But at the end of the day, people do appreciate somebody like speaking the truth and being real to them. And sometimes you have to be a little brutal, but, you know, and I also like to also use the, you know, we're right now we're just helping other competing sellers sell their homes. And, you know, your neighbors are looking at your house and going, why isn't that house selling? It's got nothing to do with your house. Your house is awesome. We're just priced too high, bottom line, you know? And so it's just like a come to Jesus meeting. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's we haven't had to do that, by the way, you know, this is for a lot of agents, if you've been in the business 5 years, you probably haven't had to really ever do a price reduction. You know what I mean? I can't believe your market's down 25%. That's amazing. I had no idea.
Yeah,
that's a pretty big drop. Yeah.
It's been rough. Last year was rough.
Yeah.
We had just a standstill market. One thing to note, guys, and we got to get through this because that took up a lot of time, and I really have a lot of respect for you guys, and I want to make sure we hear everyone's kind of say on this. When the market does shift a little bit, like it was in 2009, 10, 11, if you are pompous and you're telling everyone you're the greatest and you're going to sell it for more up front, you're going to have a miserable real estate life. You're going to have sellers pissed off at you. They're going to be calling, yelling at you, telling you that you're the worst because you lied to them. So if your market is in a downward trend, you need to be being honest. Obviously, you need to be giving them the prices that it's going to sell at, not getting the listings because you just take it whatever price they want. You're going to have a really bad experience if you do that, because you got to be the expert. You got to explain to them, as Matt was saying there, is have that coming to Jesus talk. It's like, guys, this is what it's going to sell for. I know that guy, he lied to you. And that's another part, is when you're doing listing presentations in a downward trending market, you got to compete against agents that just blatantly lie.
Right.
You know, that's a challenge, and not every client's meant to be. You got to find the right clients. But Brian, I wanted to jump down to you, because last week you had a quick second there. I always love what you say. So Brian Yarbrough, why don't you tell us what your opinion is on pricing in a downward trending market?
Hey,
yeah, Randy,
Cameron, because this is actually going to bring in Brian into this, because I wanted to share something that you said. You know, I love, of course, the stats that Matt's talked about, but you need to also prove to them what you've been doing for marketing. Because if you just come with stats, that's great. You need it to support where you're going, right? Pricing wise. But if they haven't seen anything you've done, then they're going to be questioning your integrity. They're going to ask you this question. You got to prepare. Well, what have you done, Cameron? How do you
exactly
that? That's a very hard. It's really hard to ask for a price reduction if you can't show them what you've been doing to list their, to market their property on a weekly basis. And not just that one day you send them a report, right? When you're about to ask for the reduction, like that's too late. They need to be seeing it happening on a regular basis. And that's why I wanted to bring this kind of around to Brian, because Brian, I'm sharing my screen. You guys seen this many, many times. And Brian just had this listing and it's pending now, right, Brian?
Yeah, it's contingent. We got a contingent offer and working on a backup.
Yeah, so Brian got this now finally contingent, but this has been on the market 7 weeks, right? And every Monday, his client is receiving this report, right? And it's in their face every Monday, 7 weeks on the market, 7 open houses that Brian and his team have done, Zillow views, homes.com. I think you guys saw the article that they now, I think someone either from the company said that they are overstating the numbers. But anyway, this is literally what it says, like 38,000 views on homes.com, which it is what it is. If the client goes there, look, and now it's 41,000 views, right? But I think there's a problem there that is gonna get solved. That's a whole different conversation. But what I'm getting at is that Brian was, client was getting this report, including feedback from every open house, pros, cons, agent remarks, everything was documented in one area. And I'm not gonna go and read through this. That's not the point of this, right? But there's a story that's formulating in this feedback, right? Brian knows what it is. I don't. I haven't read all of it, right? But there's a story here. So if the client is reading this and Brian is checking in with his client on a weekly basis, they're on the same page week by week, right? And then there is the showing feedback in between open houses, because there's showings between open houses. Well, most likely this will kind of follow suit on what the story is in the open house feedback, right? And Brian's got that in here, right? So now his client is reviewing this on a weekly basis, and it's all just growing, right? This feedback, it's growing every week, growing every week. These numbers keep increasing every week. So things are getting done. They can click on their property. They can click on the marketing pieces that we've done. So then when Brian gets on a conversation, I'm going to now give it to you, Brian. How has it been for you talking to your client throughout the listing of 7 weeks before you finally got it under contract? And I know you did a price reduction. So this is like a perfect live case study of leveraging data of marketing that you've done plus data in the market to get Brian to an actual pending transaction.
Thanks, Randy. Yeah, I wish I had that to share, and you did it. So perfect. Cameron, thanks for calling on me. So here's what happened with this case study, you guys. This is a trustee seller. The father passed away. There's 3 siblings. They are monitoring this house to get it sold, to wrap up what happened when their dad died in April of this year. In February, unbeknownst to the whole family, he inked a deal with a solar company and put a $70,000 solar system on his house. It was on and it wasn't even turned on. And there was no way to get out of the contract. So now we have that to throw onto the buyer's side. The buyer has to qualify for solar in this situation. So it was going to be a tough sale, because they weren't going to spend 70 grand to pay it off and just let the solar go with the house. They needed a buyer to accept this. So what Randy just showed you, at week 2, they called me, Brian, should we reduce the price based on the feedback? Let's look at the comps. So I ran them the comps, showed them the comps, and based on the comps, nothing had really moved in the first couple of weeks. I said, I'm having an open house this weekend. What are you thinking? We're thinking, let's drop the price. I said, okay, well, why don't I give the heads up to my open house team? My open house team knew the price reduction was coming. And in this situation, if we didn't have a good turnout at the open house, we were going to hit the ground running with a new price. After 4 weeks, we actually have a thing in California, and it's a price range. So you can take the top number you've been listing at. In this case, we started at 997,000. We dropped it to 994,000. Excuse me, 949,000. And when we didn't get any action or offers at 949,000, we kept that number there, and we introduced 899 on the low end, meaning the seller would look at entertain offers in the 899 to 949, kind of like what Matt was doing. What about a price reduction? Can't they just offer lower? Well, this was an indication that we had a good seller who was looking at 899. They weren't going to sell it at that, but they wanted offers that low to start working with. Bottom line was, this feedback form that Randy showed you, the open house feedback was more important than the showing feedback, because there was 9 people through the open house, and the consistency was the condition of the property. It wasn't as cleaned up, fixed up, and updated as the market buyers were looking for. And all of that feedback was hitting the sellers to the point where they were getting frustrated, thinking they were going to have to sell their dad's house to an investor who was just going to make a lot of money on them, right? And they don't want people to take advantage of their dad because he just passed away. They want top dollar for this house. So here's what I've always done. I use cost per square foot. I know that every appraiser across the country has to use a 10% below or 10% above or 20% below or 20% above. I think it's 20%. I'm losing my math. But anyway, if you're 2,100 square feet, you can go down to 1,600 square feet or up to 2,500 square feet. So that's 20%. If you know that, an appraiser cannot go outside that within a mile range of an appraisal. So what I've done is I've always kept my sellers involved in the cost per square foot value, and every trend you see in a market analysis will show you exactly what's active, pending, and sold cost per square foot value. When you look at what's sold, because that's reality, there's a cost per square foot value average. Everything pending, if it has a higher average, then the market trend still is trending in the proper direction for the seller's price range. However, if you notice, and Cam, you're probably noticing that the cost per square foot value in the pendings is now below what's sold. I look at that and I tell the seller, look, these are about ready to close. And they're going to drive this cost per square foot value down because we're in a trending market. And now the average active properties have the same or lower than the pendings. You show the seller this trend, and then you show them that things are selling at 97%, Cameron. Well, that means the next go around, we're going to be 3% below what we priced at already, and we're trending in the wrong way. We better drop the price even further to start getting buyers in here. I don't really have to have those conversations, but those are the conversations I had before we had this tool. But this tool that Randy showed you, if you can do it yourself, or if you can start just really gathering good feedback, our lock boxes in California, we have a thing called Showing Time or Showing Suite. When the agents use the lockbox, Showing Suite confirms they've been there and then sends them a feedback form. And then we tell the agents, please send it back. Because if you have an interested buyer and they don't like the price, well, send that back to me and I'll see what I can do for you. So I don't have those problems. I haven't had those conversations in quite a while by using this tool. And it was created by Randy for investors who want to know what the heck's going on. I have a vacant house that's sitting there costing me $1,000 a day. How come no one's giving me an offer? What are you doing for me, Randy? Right. So I'll leave it at that.
No, that was great. Great stuff. Really good stuff. And that numbers, Randy, what you were talking about there, having those numbers, having those analytics, keeping them up to date and in front of the owner is key. Now, my example there, I was saying, I just sent you that email because I just call everyone. We have all of our follow-up on the same day. So that's, again, during your listing, you can pre-set up when you're going to be following up with these guys. Is it once a week? Is it once every couple of weeks? Whatever it is, but having that automation via email and those numbers, that's incredible. That's good stuff. And that's huge, you guys. I want to just kind of point out. Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say they get it like clockwork from our VA. She's not in the United States. She sends it out in her time zone. Our sellers get it every night on Monday night at clockwork around 5 p.m. And by Tuesday morning, they're calling me with, hey, do we need to adjust the price, or should we fix that broken kitchen, whatever, or based on feedback. They're calling us with, what do we need to do? What do we need to do?
That's it. So if you are properly keeping your clients informed and up to date with what's going on, what people are saying, what the feedback is, like Brian just said, they're going to be reaching out to you instead of you having to be the bad guy that's reaching out to them. Hopefully, that's hopefully how it goes. So good stuff there. Good stuff. Ross, the boss, I want to jump over to you. I want to hear your market. I know is still pretty strong, so I don't think you're dealing with the decline yet. But tell us what you're doing, just prepping clients or prepping sellers that, their homes aren't jumping off the market like they were.
Yeah, well, I've been in a market where homes have historically never jumped off the market until we ran into our COVID season. When I first jumped in, if we were on the market for 90 days, that was your 10-day. Hey, let's talk about reducing the price. So we're a second home market, and not a lot of people are moving here for jobs, there's not a lot of must move scenarios here for the desert. It's mostly pure luxury, being that there's second homes, a lot of country clubs, a lot of golf course property. And the profile for that is someone who's on their second, third, fourth, fifth home. And so, yeah, we're on a totally different timeline. However, that doesn't mean that a seller isn't conditioned from a different market from where they've came in from, and they're not aware of market happenings in the desert all the time. So all the things you guys have talked about, I can't nail best practices any better than you guys. But what I did want to talk about is how you're able to nail those best practices is what you do on the front end. And I think that's what your question was, Cam, is how do you earn the trust of your seller to know later that you can work on price with them? And the most important thing, it starts at the listing presentation or your listing consultation. We don't want to present, we want to consult. We want to be in line with our sellers. And the best way to do that is to build rapport, be super excited about the opportunity to sell their house. And if you can let them know with just not only your words, but your action, your countenance, your attitude at that, when you have the opportunity to list a property, that's when they're going to see that you have something that the next guy's not going to have, or the next girl's not going to have. And you can set yourself apart there because they're going to fuel on your excitement, not on the number you're going to present. And the number that we're going to present, I'm not going to present one. We're going to come to one together. I've found in my listing presentation or listing consultations, if I come out early, I used to give the option, well, do you want to hear about me or do you want to hear about your property first? And most people would be like, I want to hear about my property, Ross. Just tell me how much you're going to try and sell it for. What can I get for it? And that's a failure, because if I come out, like in your guys' scenario, if I say, well, you're really 775 is your number, and they're telling me, well, I had 4 other people come in here and tell me they want to list at 849. I was like, well, that's a great list price to get to 775 in a year. However, people don't want to hear that. People want to hear excitement. All of a sudden now I'm taking money out of their pocket and their minds, and I'm not building into their equity. I'm not working to get them best price. And one of the key phrases that I always use is, hey, I'm here to set expectations for you. However, I want to put you in the best scenario to achieve your goals. What is your goal for this house? Let's talk about what you're doing after this. What do you want to do with the money? Where are you moving? Oh, you're moving next to your kids. I think that's fantastic. Oh, I have a fund that I can put this in. You can find if they're going to be emotionally driven or if they're going to be financially driven very quickly. And then you can develop the best strategy, because then you're going to understand if they don't mind time on the market, if they need to sell quickly. We need to understand what their goals are in order to come up with a scenario that's going to meet their goals best. And if we can present that after we've already hit it off and built rapport, they've showed me their home, I'm excited about the updates they did, or I'm excited about, that antique that they have in their home that has nothing to do with the sale, but hey, I like their style. We can relate on some level. And that's what's going to be able to allow us to get to those conversations you guys were talking about. But never, if I could give you a piece of advice, and we had a training on it, our team did on Tuesday with Frank, he never give away price. Because if you're going to give away price right when you walk in the door, you might as well turn around and leave, because your value is blown. You need to present your value. Same thing, it's just like how are you going to lead in your buyer representation? You're not going to tell them what to offer right away. You're going to tell them what's my value. And if we can present our value in a non-threatening, non-egotistical way, but building in on how we're going to promote their house, it's not like Cam, if I were to tell you, hey, Cam, I've sold 710 million since 2018. I drive a Ferrari. I have a beautiful wife. My kids are better than yours. And my 401k makes yours look like, like is that, and if my Instagram portrays that,
Yeah.
like people are going to research you, people are going to fuel off what you're saying. But if I turn that around and be like, you know what, I've been blessed to work with excellent sellers like yourself, and that's allowed us to sell over 700 million since 2000. What comes out of my mouth, I can hardly believe it. Like what an accomplishment that people like you have helped me accomplish. And I'm so excited to get to bring this property to the market. Your house inspires me, and what a great opportunity I feel like it is for us to work together so we can both achieve the goal of selling your home together. Like that sounds way better than me just talking at them and trying to find out or trying to make them think that I'm the best. And some people want that guy. Some people want flash. But I think over the course of your career, if you can lead with humility but carry the big stick, right? Know that you're the best still and act that way, That's where you're going to find that traction, be able to not only secure the appointment, secure the listing, but then have the reign with your clients to tell them, hey, we do need a price reduction, or hey, you need to paint, or hey, you need to stage this. These are things that we'll then have the power to do because we've earned their trust on the front end.
That's great. Good stuff there. I mean, really good stuff. And I loved the coming to a price together, because I think most of us probably do something very similar to that. I know our CMA is built on price per square foot. We're built on average list price, obviously average pending price. And we let them decide a price. We don't tell them. We work together to find that right price. Now, one thing that I think everybody has said so far, and they've said in a little bit different ways, but it's really, really important, is that you have to be asking questions, listening, and trying to find the motivation. Okay. In more challenging markets, at least here in Southwest Florida, you need to be working with sellers that have a reason to move. Nobody wants to sell right now and get less than they could have 6 months ago. But if you got a job, you have to move to Tampa, and you're already up in Tampa, and the house is just sitting here vacant, costing you $6,200 a month. That is motivation. Those are the people you need to be finding. And to find those, you got to be asking the right questions. You need to be asking what they're trying to do. What is, causing them to move? What are they looking to do when they go where they want to go? Great stuff there, Ross.
Cameron, can I mention one thing before we
Of
go
course,
to somebody
man.
else?
Jump in.
Just based on what Ross was saying. Well, I think it's really important that everyone remembers, because we're talking about when you go into a listing appointment, right? Before you walk into that listing appointment, you need to have decided in your mind, this is the price that this house needs to be listed at, right? Because you will, believe me, I've done this thousands of times. You go in there, and those sellers are good salespeople. They're telling you about, we did this upgraded pad under the carpet. That was an upgrade. And look at this entertainment center over here. That we spent like $8,000 on that. And, all the different things. Wow, you're right. This is a really nice house. And you start to think, geez, maybe we could list a little higher. I really like this guy, and this is going great, and so forth, But you have to go in there, and because here's the interesting thing. Frank Bell, who Ross was talking about, who I've known for 25 years, right? He's an agent here in San Diego. And Frank's thing is you never volunteer a price, right? So you go in there and they say, well, what price really? And you say, well, Frank says you always turn it around. And you go, well, what do you think your house is worth? And what do they always say? They say, well, you're the expert. You tell me. I had you over here. You tell me. I'm not going to say what I think it's worth. They want you to be the expert. So you have to go in there knowing this house, I'm going to say is, 800,000 or whatever, whatever the number is. And you got to have some conviction, right? Because their job is to convince you that you got to list it higher, because that's what everyone's telling them. And you have to have some conviction and backbone to say, let's look at the comps. And, by the way, I've been doing this it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business, whether you can say I've been doing it for 20 years or I've been doing this a long time. When I started, I'd say I've been doing this a long time. And I am the expert. And so I'm telling you that if you list it for the price that last agent you interviewed recommended, you're going to be sitting here 45 days from now wondering what happened and why the house didn't sell. And you really, really have to come from a position of I am the authority, because guess what? That's what they want, right? They've got a nice home. Whatever they do, they're good at, and they're the authority in their business. They're not in real estate. So you have to come in there and say, look, buddy, you called me over here for a reason. You didn't have me over here to lie to you. And I'm telling you right now, this is the price that we need to list it for. And you know why? And we've talked about this before, but it bears mentioning again. You know why so-and-so who you talked with yesterday told you it should list for $925? Because so-and-so, whoever, I don't even know, it doesn't even matter who the agent is. They sell about 5 homes a year. And so getting your listing represents 20-30% of their annual income. And so they're trying to buy your listing because they know exactly what you want to hear. And so they're going to tell you that your house is worth more than it is, because they know that's what you want to hear. And then that way they get the listing. They're going to sign you to a 6-month listing, and 30, 45 days from now, they're going to call you up and say, hey, Cameron, gosh, the market's really changed. I don't know what happened, and we have to drop the price. But now you've lost your momentum, and your neighbors are all going to be looking at that sign in front of your house and saying, man, what's going on? That house must be a real piece of junk. Nobody wants to buy that house. Do you want
What's
to be
wrong with
that
that
house?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So, I've taken listings. I mean, once you get up into higher price ranges, you could go into a listing where you say it's worth 2 million. And they say, well, the guy I just talked to from Compass yesterday said it was worth 2.4. I mean, that's a major difference. We're not talking 15,000. You're talking $300,000-400,000. So you really you got to use that CMA, and you have to come across as the authority. And I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you the truth. I know it's not what you want to hear, but I'm telling you the truth. And that's what you had me over to do. So.
And being genuine is key. Now I'm going to give you guys a huge nugget here. This is from the OG days, back when we were fighting for these listings. We used to do what called agent report cards. All right. So just what Matt was saying there was, hey, that guy probably only sold 5 homes in his whole, this year. During your pre-qualification or pre-qualification call, when you're asking them some questions, one of the important questions is, are you interviewing any other agents for the job of selling your home? Right? We've all heard that. If they say yes, the next question is, oh, great. Who are you interviewing? I know most of all the top agents in the area. Sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't. But if they do tell you, you can then jump on your MLS, look that person up, and print off all of their solds, as well as see the days on market, right? And this is key, because if you do actually get into this conversation where, no, Matt just told me that you can get 2.4 for it. Hey, Matt's a great guy. I've worked with him before, but I just wanted to show you, Matt has only sold 3 homes this year, and on average, his days on market is 160 days. And guys, we don't do that anymore. I haven't done that in a long time, but this is a technique that if you're getting those type of agents that are blatantly lying to the clients, you can show them exactly what they're actually going to get with these agents. And yeah, it takes a little bit of confidence, a little bit of kahunas to do that, but it is a surefire way to stand out, because that is just something that in a downtrending market, agents lie. They just over exaggerate price to get the listings. And it's so frustrating, because we work so hard on those calls. We work so hard doing it to just have someone win out because they lied. So Lurchy, moving over to you, the PGA Pro. Oh, Randy, go ahead.
I have a question to engage with Craig, actually. But before we do, Diane Mills brings up a good point. Well, then our EXP agents that just started are not getting the deal. And the truth is that could be true. There's no way around it. And what we've been preaching here, if you're new and you're getting into a market that's becoming a tough market, that you really have to sell yourself, you need to partner with someone, period. You got to partner with someone, because otherwise you're going to get smoked. Like, yes, you're going to give up 50% of your commission. Who knows, maybe more, but that's how you get confidence. Partner with someone like Ross, partner with someone like Matt, and go into that listing with that confidence, leveraging their experience as yours. All right. Because if you do try to do it on your own, can you get it? Yes. Is it harder? Absolutely. Right. Because you might have someone like Cam with an agent report card coming in behind you, and he'll smoke you.
You do. Yeah, but that's our job, guys. Our job is to win.
Yeah.
And now we're all out there fighting for it. I love that. Though. Partner with someone. Come into the listing appointment with both of you.
Yeah. Right.
Go ahead,
or as a new agent, you use EXP statistics.
That's right.
As your statistics.
Yeah.
You say, I was writing some copy for marketing piece the other day, and I sort of remembered that EXP is, I think by Real Trends 500, EXP in 2023 was number 1 in transaction size, right?
And
so I said, yeah. So I said, there's a reason we're number 1 in transaction sides, according to Real Trends 500. So you don't have to use your own personal, if you're part of a group, all the agents that on my team, I say, you can say we've sold over 2,000 homes. We've sold over $1 billion in real estate. There's always ways to work the numbers, right? Use your brokerage. A lot of agents use their brokerage all the time, right? So if you're a brand new agent, you go into a listing appointment, all you talk about is, well, we are in, over 24 countries, and we have almost 90,000 agents, and we're number 1 in transaction sides. You don't have to use your own personal, right? It's all how you present it.
We is key. That's what I've always said, especially for new agents, is we is key, because you can make yourself grow with your groups, with your teams, with your brokerage, whatever you want to be, by using that word we. Super key.
Yeah.
Also,
And
the
if
other
you're a
thing
new
is-
agent, if you are a new agent, you're sitting in that chair with the seller because they liked your USP or they liked you. So never lose confidence because you're going up against somebody else. Yes, you can rely on we is key. I love that because that's huge. That might be your USP. But why are you sitting in that chair? How come they decided to interview you? You got to channel that, find it. And as a new agent, that's what I did. I relied on my construction background. I relied on my self-starter attitude and
Your
that I was young
Ferrari.
and hungry. Yeah, my Ferrari. Yeah, that I don't have. And
Lurch. Craig Lurch takes pasta.
Oh, yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Oh,
drink
dude.
good if you're a
Lurch's
good
got all
cook.
the USPs. He's got his
Okay.
chain. He's got his pasta.
There you
He's
go.
got
Hey,
his
Craig,
scratch golf game.
I have a question for you,
Number
which I
30.
want to hear about this, how you would handle it, because you're down in Philly over there, and I know you always have a clever way of handling things. So you're sitting down at a set listing appointment, and you know that this house, you have conviction, like Matt says, that it's worth 500,000, and the seller is like, no, Craig, I want to list it at 550, and by the way, if I don't get my number, I'll keep it. I don't care, Craig. I know my house is worth 550. So I like you, Craig. We've known each other for a long time. You've helped my family sell houses. I would love to work with you, but if I can't get 550, I'm gonna pull it back. I'll list it with you, but if I don't get 550, we're done. I'm gonna keep the home. How does Craig from Philly handles that?
I've done that homework before I've gotten there, so I'm not sitting there at that point. I've done enough feels. I've asked them not once, probably 10 different ways before we get to that final point of that price that's going to be their knockdown. And I always say to them, what's your, and I do this on the first interview when I'm talking to them. And I've said this before on these calls. So if you're new, by the way, if you're new, good. You know why? You have no bad habits. You have no fears. Go after it. Get at it. And if you don't have the answer, be candid enough to say, I don't have that answer, but I'm going to talk to my senior partner and I'm going to get that back to you. Are you okay with that? So talking on the new people that are in this call, and I hope that helped. So Randy, going back to where you are, I've done it I've asked multiple times before I've gotten that point. If we're at that point and I'm sitting with I'm sitting with a client that says, we're at 550 and I'm not selling underneath. I'm like, great. But if the market's talking to you and you don't get an appraisal, you're going to sit here till kingdom come. Is that what you're saying? I'm sitting here till kingdom come. Great. So let's take this to a different genre. Let's say you're sitting in your doctor's office and your doctor says you have three options. One, ignore the conversation that I'm having with you. Two is take it half-ass. Or three is go full boat in at a number that it's supposed to be or to correct your health, which is, let's call cancer, let's call whatever it might be. Radiation, part radiation, or ignore it. Which one are you? Are you going to sit there and ignore it? Turn it to a personal feeling of their body versus a personal feeling of this wealth. And then I also ask them, I'm a little confused where this number's coming from. And then just stop talking. A lot of times it's just ego. Is it ego that you don't want to sell it for this? Is it price? Is it you're losing a shortfall? You got to find a point of pain. If they have no point of pain in their story, which is their situation, their target, their objections, their reactions, and their yield or yikes, then they're not motivated to sell. That's like having a guy saying,
would you
you
walk
got to figure
away?
that out.
Would you walk away or take the listing?
90% of the time, I'm going to walk away, but I'm also going to get them down in number. I'm going to sit there forever. I said, look, we could sit here and debate this all day long. I don't control the market. The market's already speaking to you. Here's the comps. You have the appraiser, you have the agent, you have the buyer, you have the internet, all these places that are speaking to you. Am I going to take it? I said, how about this? I'm going to let you think about it. I'm going to go over there and sit on the couch and take a nap for now. Because I really think you need to think about it. And then what I do is, look, let's do this again. Let's take a moment. You think I'm crazy? Let's take a moment. Let's walk the house again. Maybe I'm missing some. The point is you got to disrupt them out of their cleats in the sand. You got to get them moving. Go back to the conversation Reagan and Gorbachev had. They were at a stalemate, right? They were at a stalemate in the conversation. Reagan looked over him and said, it's like 20 degrees out, I think it was. You want to take a walk? I need some air. He goes, yeah, I'll take a walk. As they walked, they solved the problem because both of them got out of their comfort zone and got out of their cleats. You got to move them, get them to move, get them to make a situation. Ask them for a tour of the house again. Maybe I'm missing something. Show me why you think you've got 50,000 extra. Okay? Get them in that mode again, and then you'll start breaking them down. That's how I deal with it. I get them out of the cleats. I don't know whether it answers the question, but I break them out of that mold.
And then also the reason I asked it too is because I know we're going to be in this type of a market probably soon here in California more that you are in, Cam, and I'm going to have to do this again, which I've had some investors, especially even, and actually not even investors only, but also regular sellers I've done this with, and it works. Where, you know, they have a number that they, you know, for an investor, usually it stems from like, that's my break even number, right? Fair, but still doesn't make any sense, right? And I'll go into all that, what you just described. And at the end of the day, I'm like, look, let's give it a test. Let's see what happens. And here's what I would like ask from you is that you reimburse me for the expenses when you tell me to cancel the contract, and I will walk away from the contract. And because I understand your situation, you don't want to take a loss, but let's at least test the market, right? Because your house is beautiful, and who knows, maybe someone is going to be willing to pay it, right? And if not, you know, and I present them, here's all the things I'm going to do for you, and here's what that's going to cost me to do. So is it fair that if I allow you to just cancel the contract anytime, that you reimburse me for my hard costs? Not my time, forget, you know, I put in the time and my team is putting in the time, but just reimburse me for my hard costs. Is that fair? And I've never had a seller tell me no, right? Because I come from reality, I come from transparency, and I tell them, because the truth is, Mr. Seller, is that you can go and list it with another agent that's not addressing the reality of the situation. And that's exactly what Matt is saying, right? They just need the listing. You know why? Because they want to be able to say like, look, I have a sign up, and they're hoping they might get a call from your sign because that's how they're marketing themselves. And they know they probably can't sell your house at that price, but they're hoping they could get a buyer that they can then take to another property, right? That's their hope. And do you think that seller, I mean, that agent is going to spend any money on your marketing if you guys don't talk about this in reality? The answer is no. I'm telling you right now, they are not spending $1 when they know they have a way overpriced listing. I'm just telling you the reality of the situation. That's why I have this program. Like, if you reimburse me, I'm going all out with my marketing because that's what you deserve, right? That's what you want me to do. And you want me to test your high price, right? Right. Then let me go all out. And then the way I can go all out with marketing is if I know that I can get reimbursed if we have to pull the property off the market because you don't get your price. How is that fair?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great.
let me add into that too. I think the easier way to look at, and I love that, but the way I do my business with regard to listings, I'll just say, is if the motivation is there, right? If a seller has got to sell that house, will I take an overpriced listing? Yeah, because I know they got to sell the house, and within reason, of course. But the other thing that factors in is, you know, where is the market going? If I think the market is, if we're in a strong, like, believe me, I've walked away from overpriced listings only to see another agent take the listing and the damn thing sells. You know, and I'm like, unbelievable. And it happens in a strong market, in an appreciating market that like we've been in for the last handful of years. People will take overpriced listings and you'll say, you know, I don't want to waste your time. It's never going to sell. And somebody comes in there and buys the damn thing, you know?
But Matt, you bring up a good point. I only do that in a depreciating market, and when the seller does not have to sell, and they clearly state that to me, right?
Yeah.
So I only pull that out. But go ahead.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And there are a lot of people out there that say, you know, I don't have to sell it. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times I've heard that. I don't have to sell it. I want to sell it, but I don't have to sell it. And if I don't get X amount, I'll keep it. And I've seen sellers in, luxury markets keep that friggin' house on the market for 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
Like they're not kidding. They do not have to sell it, and they will only sell it for X amount. But if you think but I would, just to finish the point, if a market is depreciating, which I think our market is doing right now, I especially, unless they're super motivated, unless they're motivated to sell, I won't take an overpriced listing, because you're going to start seeing homes sit on the market for 6 months and then list with somebody else who's dumb enough to take the listing at an overpriced price, and it sits for another 6 months, right? So you got to be careful about that.
We're coming into for the people that have been in the business a long time. This is a saying that's been going around for a long time. You want to be firstborn, second wife, which I'm not having a second wife because I'm keeping my first. My first is perfect. And third realtor. Okay. So
Yeah.
in a declining market, and say it fun, say, look, the market's shifting. This is what's happening. I mean, you can say no. We can say no. This is a two-way interview. I'm interviewing you and you're interviewing me. It doesn't mean that I have to take this. I'm a gambler. We're all gamblers here. We don't get paid until we get a contract and we go to settlement or escrow, whatever you guys call it in your states. But I got to know I have good odds of getting paid. I know I got to have 80%. If I've got an 80% chance going to gamble at a table in Las Vegas, I'm going to gamble more than I am going to be at 10%. So where do you want to fit in my scale of 1 to 100, knowing that I'm giving my all in to go all in and stand up at the table for you? And once you put it, and that's how I put it also. So put it in the gambling firms. I'm gambling to get paid.
I have a question to share with you guys. So I had a few of these kinds of listings before, and I learned from my mentor to look at the seller and say, while we're on the market these first 30 to 60 days at your price, you guys are okay. I just want you to know you are okay. You need to be okay that I'm going to take all the leads from your property in my marketing, and I will be selling other homes in your area. I'll probably go under contract with other homes in your neighborhood with all the leads that I get from your house. So you're okay with me using your home to sell other homes in the neighborhood and get quiet. And I've literally had sellers tell me, well, that is your job. Yeah, but I know, but they're calling on your house and I'm selling your neighbors. I just want to know it's okay.
That's gold. Gold, you guys. Great stuff, everybody. Matt, Randy, Craig, Ross, Ryan, thank you guys.
Last thing I'll add, when you are sitting with a seller, ask them what kind of loan they have. If they have a VA or FHA loan and they took it out 3-4 years ago, there's a high probability they have a very low interest rate that might help you sell it and be more confident with taking the listing because that loan is assumable. We talked about this a few months ago or a few weeks ago. So make sure you ask, what is the loan that you have? Get the information about it. If it's FHA or VA, they're all assumable. It's a great way to market your property, but that's it. I'm done.
Have a great one, guys, gals.
All right, guys.
We're
Have a great
missing our
week.
roses. Where are our roses at? We need them in here. Let's go.
I know.
All right. See you
Well,
guys.
all right.
All right,
See you guys.
See you next week. Cheers. Bye-bye.